buddies. Welcome to Mompreneurs Unleashed, the podcast that celebrates moms who are taking on the world of entrepreneurship. Join us as we chat with inspiring mompreneurs who are sharing their tips, tricks, and secrets to success. Whether you're a stay-at-home mom with a killer business idea, or if you're a working mom looking to turn your side hustle into a full-time gig, we've got you covered. Get ready to unleash your inner mom boss and start profiting like a pro.
Welcome back to another episode of Mompreneurs Unleashed. I'm your host, Rakita Weathers. So today I have a wonderful guest with me. Would you like to introduce yourself to the people?
Yes, my name is Dr. Jamila Goldsmith. I am a board-certified emergency medicine physician and entrepreneur. I run my own company as an independent contractor, traveling doctor, and I am a coach that helps other physicians achieve the same things that I was able to achieve as an entrepreneur.
So I'm going to put this out there right now. I went to your Instagram and I said, what is locums tenens? And I hope I'm saying it right, because I Googled it and I was like, I need her to talk about this on the podcast for sure once we get into the nitty gritty.
Yes.
So before we get deep into this, please tell us a little bit more specifically what you do.
Alrighty. So as a locum tenens doctor, I am to fill in the space for doctors who are not there on like maybe medical leave, say they go on maternity leave, or if a hospital is having difficulty filling a role, they use me temporarily until they can find full-time work, which is great because it means that, number one, I'm making more money in that role, and it allows me more freedom and independence as a physician. So,
okay. I love it. I love it. So now I know the official name when I see a doctor filling in, right? Mm-hmm. Until they have a professional, not professional, but do they have a full-time hire, right? Okay. So let's get into some of our questions here. Can you share a little bit about your journey? How did you get into medicine? And specifically, you're an ER doctor, right? Mm-hmm. So tell us, how did you even get to this path that you're on today?
So being a doctor was never in my goals and dreams. I'll put it that way. Mm-hmm. I actually attended mechanical engineering school. I went to engineering school, and that's what I majored in. And as I got toward the end of engineering, I was trying to figure out, what am I going to do with this degree? What am I going to do next? Mm-hmm. At the time, I was working for a company designing conveyor systems for the Gap, and at the time, Blockbuster. Child, I'm giving my age away. So, but I wasn't. I didn't feel passionate about that. And so things happened. This is around 2003, 2004. I got laid off from the company, and I still needed to have a thesis project to graduate from undergrad. Mm-hmm. So I ended up doing research with some of the doctors at the local hospital. And I was like, this is what I feel like I should be doing. Helping people. And so that's how it all began. And I just figured out what I needed to do from that point to, pursue my dreams of becoming a doctor.
So tell me a little bit more about your journey as far as when you started in ER medicine to where, hey, I want to have my own business. What was that like for you?
So let's say getting a degree in engineering and then switching gears or redirecting my path took a lot of time, investment of my energy, a lot of sacrifice. And so I just decided that toward the end, I had a number of offers for nice roles at academic institutions. I was considering doing a fellowship, and even with some of the community hospital roles, they were waving a lot of money in my face. Yeah. And so a lot of times that money comes with stipulations. Mm-hmm. You're going to end up having to stay there for a number of years, or else you have to pay that money back. Mm-hmm. And I just didn't like the idea that I could take a job and then be stuck in that role, even if I didn't like it. I felt like pursuing my dreams of becoming a doctor was enough of an investment that I wanted to be able to have control of my time. I wanted to be able to decide if I want to go on a vacation, that I didn't have to ask anyone for permission. And I felt like, for me, I had sacrificed so much to become a doctor that if it was a way that it was possible for me to be my own boss, that I needed to look further into it. And so I turned down all those offers, and everybody thought I was crazy, which in entrepreneurship, a lot of times people will think you are crazy. But I saw a bigger vision for myself, and that's how I finished residency and just started my own company, and
Immediately
after residency.
Wow. Okay, so you already just knew from jump that life was not for me.
Exactly.
I need control.
Nothing felt right. All of the interviews I had been on, nothing really felt like me. It felt like I was putting myself in a box or going down a pathway that may have been right for other people, but it just didn't feel like the pathway that I was supposed to take.
So now in your business, now that you've done this, how many, you don't have to say how many years, but after doing this for years, right? And you say, now I'm going to actually teach other doctors how they can do the same thing, right? Talk to me about the coaching business and about the podcast.
Yes. So it's interesting because for a moment, I did shift and say, well, the pandemic, I think a lot of people looked at what they were doing and just tried to figure out what they can do different or do better. And my different, I thought was going to be the right path for me. And I found out that it wasn't. So I had run my business for about 4 years. And the pandemic hit. And of course, a lot of things changed for a lot of small businesses. And so I decided that I would take a role in administration at a hospital. And I figured this is the next trajectory for me. I've done my own business. Maybe now it's time that, I start a family and get into a role as a director. Well, it was not everything that I thought it was. And I felt like I still needed that experience because now I know some of the challenges that doctors go through when they have to make the decision to leave a job or to veer off of a traditional pathway.
Right.
And if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't be able to coach other doctors on the challenges that they face mentally and externally in terms of like what other people think and say. There's a lot of stuff, and a lot of doctors, we function on this type A personality, never quit. We're used to getting pats on the back, the awards, the scholarships. They're naturally, we've excelled in academics, and a lot of that external, cheering, it makes it difficult for you to veer off and do something that's not been done before.
Or something that's not as cheered upon, right?
Exactly.
They're taking the risk.
Exactly.
So, and I won't sorry to cut you off there, but when you think about the experiences that we have, right? So taking that the administrative role that you were in, you were able to learn more about just how other doctors think. And it also, these life experiences, if you will, they lead into the next ventures of our life, right? So by not having that role, if you had only solely been doing just your own thing, well, we probably wouldn't be talking about the podcast that you're doing now or talking about your new coaching business, right? It's not new, or is it?
It's new.
It's new. Okay. Yeah. So we wouldn't be having these conversations.
Exactly. All this has really taken place in the past year. I left my job as a director in a little over a year ago, and I just wanted to figure out for myself, after being in that role and being in that position, and then also finding it difficult to leave that situation, even though I had done locums, I had worked for myself, I had run a successful business. How do I help other doctors? Because there is a better way to do this. Right. And with all of the mental health things that have come up as doctors, we have, unfortunately, some of the highest suicide rates. And a lot of it has to do with, trying to meet expectations of others. And so I felt like my mission was to help other doctors figure out what is it that you truly want to do. How do we get you in a space where you make medicine your side hustle and you're able to really reconnect with who you were before you became a doctor? What did you like doing? What other aspirations do you have? And so I think by doing this, this coaching work with doctors, that I'll be able to help them, number one, take control of their careers as doctors, then also free up some time to actually pursue some of the other interests that they have.
So another thing that we as moms have, right? We have families. And in a demanding field such as medicine, right? And this will go back into having balance. Is there balance for doctors? And I think this is where you're going with your business, right? But how is it finding balance as a doctor and having a family?
So it's interesting because I was just having this conversation with another one of the doctors, actually one of my mentors, who she worked in a full-time role, but she also kept locums as an option on the side. And really, she would always say, I can't give anybody all my time. And I was like, what does she mean by that? Like, but I understood as I began to practice on my own, and I watched her. She was a mom and she was doing it all, but we just had this conversation, and it was really like, how do you not do locums and be a mom? A lot of people think of locums as being unstable, but for me, I create stability for myself in locums. You know, when I was in my full-time role, I would leave work before my son woke up, and I'd come home and he was asleep. And I didn't have a lot of control over the hours that I worked, the days that I worked. And so, you know, sometimes you could work a day and come home and you need a whole day just to get back, you know, get your energy back and get back into your flow. And then when I'm not controlling the schedule, I could have to go to work that next day. So it's draining. But as a locums doctor, I get to dictate how my schedule is going to be. It helps me dictate how I'm going to show up at home and, you know, being able to spend quality time with my son. So I don't see how people are working as doctors and not having that control or autonomy in their schedule.
Would you say that the work schedule of doctors, that it could put off potential doctors, like as far as graduate students?
I think so. For emergency medicine, we had the lowest match rate. So match rate is at the end of your 4 years of medical school, you decide what you're going to become and you apply to whatever specialties. And on one day, everybody finds out what their fate is. This year, whereas emergency medicine used to be one of the top competitive specialties, we had so many open spots because nobody wants to do it. I think the pandemic had a large effect on that. We're the front line when it comes to seeing ill patients. And I think people just realized that they didn't want that life. Not to mention the business side of medicine didn't really take care of doctors when it came down to it, and we were the ones that took the hit. So it's specialty dependent. But I think people are looking for ways to have a better lifestyle in medicine, and it just varies with whatever you go into.
Do you think that there will be a change? And you see it in the corporate side as far as like finance companies and all these other corporate spaces, if you will, how the work life had to change, right? You had work from home, granted. I think in the medical space, then you had more telehealth, perhaps. But have you seen the shift in medicine to where, okay, the companies are doing more to try to keep the doctors, or are they doing something more at all?
I don't think so.
But
I think there's a realization that, you know, when you think about gig work, a lot of people don't think of doctors as being people who can do gig work. But really, you would never, but that's essentially what I'm doing is gig work. And, you know, I think there's a shift in the mentality of the people who are in medicine saying that, you know, I need to do something else. I can't continue. Like, I will not, you know, have longevity if I continue to work in this way. So people are DMing me every day to ask me questions about doing it. New residents who are, you know, about to graduate, are looking at jobs, are asking more questions, showing more curiosity about what it is that I do, because it's not even something that's really presented to them as an option in residency. I'm doing talks for residents to try to get the information out to them. They're wishing that they got the conversation earlier in their, you know, training, so they, you know, could have prevented some mistakes with signing contracts. So I do think that within like the mindset of doctors is shifting. Like, we're figuring out how can we do this and have better control of our lives.
That's, for one, very important.
Yes.
And especially. So you mentioned you have a son. How old is your son?
My son just turned 2.
Oh my gosh, you got a baby.
I have a baby.
So imagine having this demanding schedule, which you don't have because we have freedom there, right? Or the flexibility, right? To choose your own schedule. And I guess it makes me think more on the doctors that don't have that flexibility. Like, to be a kid of a doctor, right, that's probably working ridiculous hours. It's more so about how do you have balance? How are you finding balance? So outside of just the work side of things, what does Jamila do for fun? Jamila,
I love traveling, and that is something that during the pandemic, I missed it. When I took my full-time job, I missed having the ability to say, okay, I'm going to take this time off. So within this past year, since I have been since I have revamped my business, I have traveled, okay? My son has a passport. He has global entry TSA. We're on the move, okay? Like, we are going. We just spent a month in Sydney, Australia. Yes.
girl.
I could have never been like, I'm taking a month off. And with my company, I have the ability to do that. I have the ability to say, okay, I'm going to grind it out this month, and maybe I won't see y'all as much during this month if I want to make sure that I'm meeting my financial goals. So, but I loved it. I went and visit my family. You know, we've been to Curacao. Like, I travel. That is what I love to do. And I love to take my son just to have different experiences. We went to Disney for his second birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that is what I do. I love spending time with my family, different events, just giving him a life that he'll have memories with me. You know, like, being an ER doctor, I know life is short, and I just want my son to have experienced life, you know, and that's what's priority to me. That's my balance.
It's so amazing you're doing it with him so young. Like, that's amazing. And I hope you're taking pictures of all these things.
Everything.
So he can say, hey, I might not remember, but I was there. I was there. Okay. So, what are some unique challenges? I want to take this back. One more question here in the medical field, though. What are some unique challenges that women face in the medical field when trying to balance motherhood and entrepreneurship?
That's a good question. I think I could speak in terms of Black women. We feel like we have to meet everybody's needs. We feel like we have to excel in everything. And if we don't feel like we're meeting those marks, then we feel like we're failing at it. And so I think we put a lot of internal pressure on ourselves to meet everyone's expectations. That's a boundary. And I feel like something that's helpful, that is just like realizing, like, you're human. You can't be everything to everybody. So trying to meet all expectations at work, if you work for someone, even trying to meet all the expectations for yourself as a business person, it can become overwhelming. And then not to mention all the external things in terms of like how we're viewed as being emotional, or just how you're treated in the workplace. I would say as a female doctor, there are challenges with nurses, and they actually do a lot of work on this in different conferences. How we're perceived in terms of like when we give orders, not taken the same way as if a male doctor gives orders. It's this cattiness that also plays a role in that. And so we have to be conscious of how we look when we're, showing up as being the powerful people that we are in our roles. Not to offend people or hurt people's feelings. And it's like, okay, but the goal is that we're trying to save this person's life, or we're trying to, do what's best for the patient. So there's different challenges like that. And, we just have to, do it every day and figure out how to show up our best selves and do what's best for the people around us.
What advice would you give to, and I'm going to say a woman of color, right, that's thinking of entering the medical field? She could be a college student right now listening to this. She may have a kid and say, I still want to be a doctor. What advice would you give that young woman to tell her this is the path you should probably take? Or, just what advice would you tell her?
So I would first say, if God gave you the vision, if that's what you think you want to do, if that's what you've seen for yourself, then, don't let anybody discourage you or tell you otherwise. How many people have discouraged me from, you're an engineer, you want to be a doctor? What, does that make any sense? Yeah, it makes sense to me. And I saw that vision, and he helped me to get through that. So I feel like, number one, staying focused, ask the questions, mentorship, talking to other people who are in your position who have done it, and just, keeping your faith. If you have a faith, you believe in something, you're going to need that when you have those sleepless nights and when you're up studying all those hours, you definitely have to have that to get through. So faith, mentorship, and don't let anybody discourage you.
Hey, I love it. Y'all heard that here from Dr. Jamila, okay? So we're going to pivot into a portion of my podcast that I like to call Rapid Fire.
I saw this. I said, what is she going to ask me?
Girl. So this is where we get to know you outside of being professional and outside of the businesswoman. Who is Dr. Jamila, okay? So
I'm ready.
Let's go. Let's see. Now, you've already told me that you love to travel. What was your favorite place that you've been to and why?
I would say Athens, Greece. That's my favorite. But okay, I got a couple first. So I've been to Australia 3 times. So obviously I like it there, but I have family there as well. I love Australia, having drinks at the Opera House and watching the boats come in. Like, I do love that. The most beautiful place, I would say, Athens, Greece. The beaches, like walking far out in the water and being able to see your feet in the fish is just so clear and beautiful. I just really, really enjoyed it. That's the place that I would want to go back to.
Okay, so Athens, Greece.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm putting it on my list.
Yeah.
And I'm making a list. So every time I ask somebody that question, what is your favorite way to unwind? Unwind and relax after you've had a busy day? Because I know you did some busy days as a doctor.
Yes. I will say I come home and sometimes I just need to not think about anything serious. So I like a lot of trash TV sometimes.
Trash TV? What's the trash TV show you like?
Let's see. You know, the Housewives. Let me catch up on the Housewives and see what they up to. Married to Medicine. I watched that. And then Love and Marriage Huntsville. And Tyler Perry, all the...
He got a whole... And there's a whole network.
And a glass of wine. Yes.
So, actually, speaking of Married to Medicine, if you ever had the opportunity to be on a reality show as a doctor, would you do it?
I would say probably not.
You don't like ratchet? You don't want to be the ratchet like
I don't want to, because I hate, even though I watch it, I don't want to have myself put out there with the drama and all that stuff. Like, I want to live a soft life.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, I don't want to have drama. Like, that's what I'm trying to get away from. I don't watch that drama, but I don't want to be involved in anybody's drama.
It's different when you're the subject of conversation.
Yeah, so I would say no.
Okay, so what is... Oh, I got one fun. If you could have any superpower, what would it be and why?
That's a good one.
Wait, first off, before you answer that, are you into superhero movies? Are you a Marvel, DC fan? Beyond that?
Not really. Like, I know.
Come on. No,
I watch them, but I'm just not no, I'm not going to do that. But no, it takes me a long time to get to the point where I could even go to the movies. So I'm usually late and everybody's talking about it and I'm like, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
I know.
So when the next big one comes out, I'm gonna make sure.
Let me know, because I'm usually always behind when it comes to the Marvel stuff. Like, I'm not the person that's like, oh wait, let me get there. I gotta see. No.
Okay, I'm gonna have to put you on a movie date. Got it. Understood. Answer your question. So
okay.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
See, what would my superpower be? I guess a healer. Like, that would be
right.
But if I could, okay, let me say, because of this, when I am taking care of very sick people, I just always want to be that comforting person. I'm always trying to give some optimism. So I feel like if I had the ability to totally touch you and heal everything in your body, that would be an awesome superpower to have.
Yeah. I get that 100%.
Yeah, definitely.
So as we're wrapping up today, how can our guests reach you?
So they can tune into my podcast, The Locums Lounge, anywhere that you listen to podcasts. And I'm on Instagram, Locums Lounge, or Mini Med School. I believe it's the same Instagram account I had when I was going through application cycle. And I wanted to change my name. So it's Mini Med School. And you can email me, jamila.goldsmith@gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining.
I truly enjoyed it.
So you guys stay tuned. We will have another episode next week. And until then, have a good one.
Bye.
Thanks for checking out another episode of Mompreneurs Unleashed. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Tune in next week for our following episode.